Hi, this is Benji, and today I'm starting my ladder climb with Infernoid. I played it last format for Season 39 on Master Duel, and I did finish in Master 1. I was playing the rating duels even. I was in like the top 50%. I wasn't playing it for very long because it was taking place during a Duelist Cup. But here's the deck list I'm on. It is Infernoid Unchained Fiendsmith. Just to run down the card by card, and then we'll go through my duels through Diamond 5, Diamond 4. I have Fable Lurie for my light beams, along with 2 Engraver and the track. So that's it for that package. For the Infernoids, I have 3 Decatron. I've got 2 Petrula, 1 Sajet, 1 Sitesmoss, 2 Deviati, and 2 Anoku. For the Infernoid back row, there's 3 Banishment, 3 Imagination, 1 Beast. For the Snake Eye package, 1 Ash, 1 Oak, 1 Poplar, 2 Bonfires, the original, the Black Witch, and the Wanted. I know it's weird not to play 3 of these. I just don't have room. The Unchained package is 1 each of each card, 1 Aruha, 1 Rikeo, 1 Sarama, 2 Sharvar, 1 Shyama, 1 Abominable Unchained Soul, 2 copies of Escape, 2 copies of Chamber, and the 3 Abomination's Prison, making Rust a good card to play at 3 as a going first card, because I could set the Unchained cards. Then for, what else we got? For non-engine, I have 2 Maxi, 3 Ash to beat Maxi. Let's see, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 1 Duster to search off of Thrust, Grass to search off Thrust, 3 Dark Ruler. I decided I can't fit enough hand traps, so I'm just going to play the Maxi and the Maxi stoppers. And so I went with Dark Ruler to have chances of beating boards a little more often. And I think that's it. And in the extra, I'm on 1 Evil to summon off of Sequence, 1 Trail Eater to dump like Shavara and Shyama, 1 Infernoid Tiara to make my Imagination a good going second card, do mill 6 Infernoids for sure. Sometimes you can resolve Infernoid Imagination to summon Evil to try and mill, and then Evil just gets negated, so I like still playing Tiara. 1 Caesar, 1 Requiem, 1 Rage, 1 Anguish, 2 Yama, 1 SP, 1 Moon of the Closed Heaven to go into the Fiendsmith line. Then I have, let's see, Sequence, the Access Code Talker, and the Flood. So that's the deck. We're just going to be playing through, trying to rank up as quick as possible, trying not to make as many mistakes as I possibly can. So here's the games of me playing as many mistakes as I possibly can. Welcome to the Legacy Crusaders Infernoid Ladder Climb. I just finished on Master 1 last format, so for Season 40, I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be climbing up to Master 1. I'll probably be posting these videos rank by rank, so I'm shooting for Diamond 4 by the end of this video. I have already been playing these. These are pre-recorded, so I've cut a lot of the fluff time. So I want to like dice rolls early on, so I am playing Infernoid Snake Eye Fiendsmith. So here we opened up with Engraver as a starter. A Decatron plus a Unchained card is also a starter, so we're going to see what our opponent does and see what we can do with that. Starting off like this doesn't do too bad into Fulos, but it's pretty bad at the Maxi, but there's really not much I can do to play around it. Normal summon Decatron and send Deviati is the best you can do to play around Maxi, but summoning Deviati means that I'm committed to not doing Unchained plays with my Infernoid cards, because on to Trula is what I need to pop my back row. So currently I am under Maxi. I had to summon the Lurie because Lurie is mandatory, which is one of the weaknesses of Lurie. I'm going to activate Decatron, and Decatron's going to send something to try and prevent my imminent demise. I'm going to send Deviati, and that's where we'll pass. The only other option I had there was to possibly set the Abomination's Prison as a bluff, so that if it gets destroyed, I could summon Abominable Unchained Soul, so I can stop my opponent from going off. Anyways, they're on Blue Eye, so they're going to start off with Wishes, discard a card to add Sage, and I lost track of what that was. I think it was Roar. Anyways, they're going to normal summon Sage, and we're just going to use Decatron to negate that immediately. And I have the option of attributing the Lurie or the Decatron. One plays into Droplet, the other one plays into Called By. Called By is in most decks, Droplet's in less decks. But the only problem with this choice is Decatron is now level 10, so if I draw Infernoids I want to summon, I won't be able to. Anyways, they're going to activate Maiden and place True Light on the board, and then activate Roar. Roar's going to summon Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is going to allow them to summon Maiden. I don't currently have any interrupts that I have to play with. I do have Dark Ruler, so assuming I don't die, I have the option to use Dark Ruler. So Main's going to come out because Blue Eyes is there. They're going to use Wishes to equip the Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which gives them target protection on Blue Eyes, which is something I have to get used to. because there are often going to be times when I have the option of targeting blue eyes or like a tuner, and I might have to consider going for the tuners. They're going to go into the Blue Eyes Fusion monster, attacks everything, so trap card. Again, this is a recording, so I can't actually click on any buttons. We're just playing it through. I'm trying to make sense of the plays I made in the past. So True Light is going to special summon Blue Eyes in the battle phase and do 3,000 damage. There's not currently a trap card in the graveyard for them to set with the Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. So we're going to Synchro Summon for Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. And they have Synchro Rumble, which can bring back the level 7 or 8 Dragon Synchro or a level 1 Tuner. So they can bring back Maiden, and now they have their 2 Spirit Dragons, which is the full combo Blue Eyes deck. That gives them the ultimate Spirit Dragon plus a, what do you call it? Crimson Dragon, which can then float into Siferd, Stardust Divine Dragon, or Cosmic Blazar Dragon. So I'm just going to hard open with Dark Ruler No More. Even if they chain True Light, so that they can chain the Spirit Dragons, whenever the monsters come out, they won't be able to activate their effects, they'll get negated. And since this can only really float into light monsters, that's not really the best situation for them. So they chain the trap card in order to summon something, and then they went into Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Now, I was not familiar that this card floats. But generally, if my opponents managed to get to these boards and I didn't open my Dark Ruler, I just lost the game. So they can summon Blue Eyes, summon Spirit Dragon, and yeah, so I don't know that this card floats. So when I destroy it, at some point, should I destroy it, they will be bringing back a card, and there are some odd situations that I'm going to need to address in future games. So I've top decked Abomination's Prison. Along with another Abomination's Prison is at least a combo, because you have the ability to pop one to summon something from the deck. So 2 Abomination's Prisons is not so bad. I have Engraver. If possible, it's good to use Engraver when you have no monsters on field, so that you can't just get Fistialed and lose the Engraver. Now I haven't gone into Requiem yet, so currently I have to summon Requiem in order to use Requiem to send a card from the field to the graveyard. One of the other reasons I added Shavara early is Shavara gives me the ability to dodge an Imperm or a Valor on my sequence when it goes to the Fusion Summon, if they wait for it. If they do it preemptively, if I didn't have to start my turn by summoning Engraver, I can put back the sequence and then summon it again. So there are situations where that comes up. I believe I have enough Infernoids engraved to summon Sight's Moss in hand. So we're going to use Shavara to pop Abomination's Prison, which will summon a guy in the deck. I'm going to summon the... So I elect to go for Yama before I go for Sequence. Not sure why, or if there was a specific reason to do that. In order to get a second body, I opted to just summon the Shavara, so I passed up on my protection on my Sequence, so maybe I thought it was just better to go for the more guaranteed play of the Unchained card, which is why they're in the deck. Give me a guaranteed play to make turn by turn. I'm just going to be adding the Aruha, because I already summoned the Shavara in my hand. I've also used the Trap effect. At this point, I know at some point I'm just going to be popping True Light and clearing their board. I can't do damage, so my plays are all about setting on my board and clearing their board. Triana can at some point pop the back row, and popping the back row clears everything. So we're going to summon Rikea. At this point, I guess I'm just investigating what my options are for going into. So I guess I'm going to go into Sequence. Rikea also gives you some protection against Sequence, because some people might not realize that you'll chain Rikea to pop Sequence, dodge like an Imperm or Valor. So I have 2 Infernoids engraved. I have the Deviati and the Decatron. Sometimes putting the Infernoids back is useful for ensuring that you can actually resolve Beast for a quality summon. In this case, it wasn't really relevant to the matter. I don't really use my evil to mill, because I don't play enough Infernoids to do that. The maximum number of Infernoids I can mill is 6 if I send Sajet, or Sajet winds up in the graveyard somehow. I only play 1 Link 4, that's Fire, which is the Flood. So anytime I go into Promethean Princess, I need like a backup plan for getting off the field, whether it be pop it with Rikea, pop it with Shavara, or tribute it off with like an Infernoid, or pop it with Rikea. At least the Shavara and Rikea are fire, so there are often ways to get rid of the Promethean Princess from my own board. So we have set up for Feast. Now, Feast doesn't play well into Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, but currently that's negated, and as long as it's not on the board at the end of the turn, Feast is fine. So I'm finally getting Fiend Lock. The only like non-Fiend in my entire deck, I think, is SP Little Knight and Access Code Talker. The vast majority of my cards are Fiends. Often if you wind up on a board with like Aruha and Sarama, you're just using Sarama to replace Aruha with a new monster while setting back the trap card you popped earlier. So I believe I already sent Blue Dog back into the deck by summoning it from the graveyard, but I still am going to use it now to pop the True Light can destroy their card. I lose track of exactly how many Unchains are still left in my deck. I play exactly one of each copy. I think I play 2 Travara just because it's legal at 2, or at 3 in Master Duel. But it's the only one I play at 2. Every other one I just want them to exist in the deck. You can put them back into the deck. Yeah, this is where I realized that Spirit floats, and by doing that I also opened myself up to Mulch Army, which sucks. So Blue-Eye Spirit Dragon's on the field, so now my Feast actually can't resolve for more than one, and I don't play a Thundel. I'm also going to be giving them cards every time I summon from the deck or extra deck. Now, I elect to just do this, so I can still set up Feast, I just have to find a way to clear Blue-Eye Spirit Dragon. As it's not Synchro Summoned, it actually can't tag out, so its only effect is to negate a graveyard effect. Currently, I don't have any graveyard effects that can be used except for Promethean Princess. Set Void Feast, and let's see what our opponent does. Now, I have Escape, and if I use Escape immediately and just pop Spirit, I can turn on Feast. Now, they do have Neo Blue Eyes in Graveyard, which is something I have forgotten about since my turn is pretty long. When you Dark Throw someone, you get to play uninterrupted. Things go for a while. Maiden can get them access to True Light again. I should have made it more of a priority to just banish True Light from the graveyard with one of the Infernoids. But in most games with Blue Eyes, they just go off and there's nothing for me to do. So currently I use this to pop their Spirit Dragon, realizing it turned off my Feast and my Yama, forgetting that the Neo Blue Eyes is in Graveyard, which prevents me from getting Yama in the graveyard, and Yama banishing itself from my graveyard was my secondary out to get rid of the Spirit Dragon. I am a little worried my opponent's just going to summon Baronne de Fleur, and at this point they use True Light to set wishes, and then wishes to discard a card to add. They discard Infirm, I guess they hard drew it the turn and didn't have a use for it. They did end with Spirit on board, so they grabbed Majesties and they grabbed Sage. I have 2 special summon negates, and I have Promethean Princess in Graveyard. Yama's on field. If I can get Yama into the graveyard, I will have the option to turn on my Flood. If they go for Spirit Dragon, I figure this is as good a time as any to negate the summon of the monster, so I tribute my Yama, putting it in Graveyard, setting up the Flood ability to banish. Thought they were going to go into Baron de Fleur. Not all Blue Eyes decks have room for that. And then they go into the Surrender button. So they're going to start summon Typhon, and Typhon being summoned into Promethean Princess is always funny, because Promethean Princess is weaker than Typhon, so it basically ends the turn. I don't really want to end with Princess on my board, because ending with Princess on my board tends to not be a great thing, because it prevents me from summoning anything that's not fire, and other than the Infernoids and Blood, I don't play any fires. Alright, but now I can resolve Beast, set up 3 interruptions, and they summon from Grave. Sajet Steedy Crow effect is a solid interruption. I also get to set up Anoku and Deviati off the Decatrons. Both Anoku and Deviati were in the deck at this time. I do play a secondary Feast ratio for 2 Patrulas, or Patrula Hermetic Decatron. Should I draw the Sajet? I think I use Sajet to tribute itself to banish a card in the graveyard, but what's valuable here? Well, I think they grab Majesty. I'll get rid of Blue Eyes. If I get rid of the second Blue Eyes, then their deck doesn't do anything. Promethean Princess can bring back Flood. Most of the Infernoids can't really be summoned from the deck or graveyard other than by Feast. Other than Decatron, Tiara, and Evil, and Flood. Bring back Flood, which can negate an inherent summon. I don't see an inherent summon happening on my turn. We'll go for battle. I think they go for popping one of my cards, so I elect to just negate and banish by attributing monster control. Now, I allow them to get off the True Light because I had used my negate from getting popped. And Blue Eyes does have 3,000, so we're just crashing at this point, but I do have Yama, so Yama will allow me to crash into his monster and bring a card back. But one of the things that I forget quite often, I have this unused Caesar. I think I just wanted to clear my Decatron for some reason, or I wanted the option to bring it back. I forget exactly why I elected to do that over Caesar. For some reason I wanted some room. But yeah, I can just crash Flood. Flood being destroyed by my opponent's card in battle allows me to trigger Yama. And then we can use Yama to special summon Flood back, and now I have game on board, and my opponent has nothing to do. Flood cannot banish during the damage step. Should I trigger Yama's effect? It's something I forget about constantly. I gotta get better at not using as my plan, because the thought of crashing the Promethean Princess came up, trigger the flood and then bring back the princess. Then I realized I couldn't do that. That's one game. We are one game down, several more to go. The goal of these videos is going to be to go rank by rank. That was the first match. The reason I'm like recording the commentary after the fact is just because like I can't talk and play at the same time, so I'm going to try and do this afterwards. I'm winning a lot of dice rolls to start this off. I did open really bad. I can summon Petrula, so I've already minused my hand one card. I'm down Sajet. Sajet is the only like Infernoid you want in the deck at all times to resolve the beast. There's Fuelos, and the only thing I can do is to summon from deck off of the Oak. But there's no reason to summon off of Oak at this point. I could summon Ash to get a Decatron for later, or I could summon Poplar to get Original, to get a setup for Decatron later. I decide having two bodies and leaving Petrula there as a DD Crow is a solid start. And I have two options really on what I can set here. If I had started with like an Unchained monster, I might set Unchained Trap. I could have set Imperm. I decided to set Grass because my opponent just can't stop me. I should be able to just win the game. But of course they're on going second type magical musket deck. So they're just going to use my two fire monsters into Mud Dragon in front of their Caspar, and Caspar's going to search. So my odds of surviving here are limited. I don't think there were really any options I had here. I had one option that I could have made differently, which was to set Imperm. And if I did set Imperm, my Imperm, I would have had to Imperm the Caspar when it goes for the search. Otherwise it just searches a card that popped my card. So I elect to just concede, and that's 1-1. So our opponent is trying to get a rank up game. We're going to see what can stop them. We are here to play spoiler. So we're going first again, winning a lot of dice rolls, but opening medium hands. This hand has 3 different ways to get started. So I have Lurie into Requiem, but Requiem by itself without Lacrima is not as good of a play as other plays. I went for Bonfire into Poplar so I can normal summon the Lurie, rather than using my normal summon specifically on Snake Eye Ash. So we have some Poplar, we got Max Seed, so they're going to get a draw. Poplar can try and get Original, but they're going to activate Valor. Now, I have to decide how I want to play out the remaining cards in my hand. I have Abomination's Prison, and I have Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. So, Chamber itself doesn't really do anything, it just lets me summon from deck. They have Ash for that, so I am really stuck here. So I just got hand trapped 3 times. One hand trap replaced itself with 1 card. And then the question becomes like, what do I do with Lurie? Do I summon Lurie? I can block with Lurie. There's a chance that they pop the trap card. And of course my opponent is on our favorite Gold Sark playing deck. Gold Sark for Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos. Dragon Ruler of Infernos will then trigger to search a Fire Dragon monster, of which there are several that automatically win the game if you don't have a real disruption, which my disruption is fake, but it is a possible disruption, because there are situations. I kind of skipped their combo. Basically, I was giving them a chance to see if they could hop the Abomination's Prison, and then sometimes you could summon Abomination and use it to destroy the Chundra, because then they don't have a tuners, and if they don't have a tuner, they can't really synchro. Alright, so we've won the dice roll again. So between Snake Eye Ash for Poplar as like my starting play, or Bonfire for Poplar to see if it baits an Ash, I opted for normal summon the Ash. It didn't really make a huge difference. I probably should have started with Bonfire for Poplar, because if they Veil the Poplar, I can still set off of Black Witch. So I think I just Ash them, and I think they're just going to scoop here. Oh yeah, we're down another game. So we're 1-2 currently. Now we're 2-2, so we're back to even. Alright, we're going to go for the next game. So slow grind so far, because I keep getting effectively Max Seed or opening pretty mid. But that's part of the build. I have this hand going first again, so 5 for 5 on coin tosses. I have Beast with no Void card. I have several bricks. I have Shayam as a brick. Now here's like the most questionable play of this game. I haven't been hand trapped yet. I have Decatron resolving. I could just send Deviati and commit to a negate. I send Sajet because I want to be able to summon from the graveyard the Sajet. So I can have to banish the Anoku from my hand. So I am -1 already. But at least it's up play. So I go for Yama because the other option was I didn't need to go for Yama. I could have went for Moon of the Closed Heaven and then summoned back Sajet to go into sequence and then sequence into Aerial Eater. And the Aerial Eater could dump the Sharvara. In this case, I wound up searching Sharvara and summoning it from the hand, this is probably the worst play, thinking back on it. I don't really have like a good play for getting this out of my hand. There's currently there's not enough Infernoids in graveyard to do much. I have Princess that can get a card for me, but Princess by itself doesn't really do anything. Yeah. Okay, so this play didn't banish the Decatron. The other play, I would have summoned the Sajet and banished the Decatron, so that would end the Infernoid plays. Here I get to keep the Decatron. So I'm going to use Decatron to summon from the deck the Aruha, because I've already used the Sharvara. One of the other ways to clear the Firelock of Promethean Princess is you can use Yama to summon back the Sharvara and then like pop the Promethean Princess. In this case, I think I just opt to end on like Blood plus Promethean Princess setup with Aruha. Considering how bad my hand is, this isn't like the worst thing. They haven't hand trapped me, which means they have probably 5 live cards. But I do technically have 2 disruptions. I have some follow-up because I still have Sajet that's live and summonable. I didn't see a reason to do so. My opponent's on their ongoing second Sky Striker. They summon Gen to give me 10, and then they get to draw 2 cards and discard 1. I think their plan with this deck, they discard Sky Striker, Ace, Ray. So I think their plan is to just make me trigger an effect so that they can use Talents and Thrust. So Thrust to get Engage, and Talents to just take my monsters and kill me with them. I'm not sure exactly what's in their hand because they went straight for Battle Phase. And they go for Aruha first, which I mean removes the fire monster from my field to turn off Promethean Princess. I trigger Aruha, and they also trigger Yama. And they can't ash me in the damage steps. I'm trying to remember exactly why I did it. I know I want to bring back Decatron, and this is all in the damage step, so it dodges like ashes and failures. I've already been Talenced. I elect to destroy the Ken, so it doesn't just bounce back in the end phase, and I summon, I think I go for Abomination to get the Shyama out of my hand. And then I have the option of destroying the Gen or the Flood. Now, I don't think me destroying my own Flood triggers the effect. Summon from my deck, so I just decide to see if my opponent will be able to get it off their board. I'm thinking there's a chance to run Kashtira in their deck. I know they showed me a Sky Striker card, but they could be playing Cash, and if they're playing Cash, leaving a monster on their board is in my favor, and if they can't get rid of it, it comes back to me. Set Noku because I know they're on Striker, and the question becomes like, do I negate this? What do I attribute? Do I attribute the Decatron itself and play into Called By? Do I attribute the Abomination and play into Droplet? I decide to attribute itself and play into Called By because then my level limit is lower, and now I currently have the option to summon a Noku, or I have the option to summon like Sajet because they're both in the graveyard, and I have enough Infernoids to do that. They activate Droplet and chain linkage, so the Droplet was more just to clear my card so that they wouldn't have to give it back to me. They also couldn't activate any of their striker cards while their board had a monster in the extra monster zone. I mean, in the main monster zone. So they can waste a Droplet just to get their engine going. And they don't go for... They go for Engage, thinking, I guess, that I'm not going to be able to do anything. When they could go for, like, Shark Cannon to try and disrupt my graveyard. But it is like a going second build. Maybe they're not playing Shark Cannon. It's not really like a kill you card. So I draw Abomination's Prison. And since I have Chamber in the graveyard, I have Sarama, which is effectively 2 monsters. I figure they have 1 back row. They haven't hand trapped me before. They probably don't have hand traps now. I just figure I'll summon Protection with Noku and just see if I can kill them with this. They don't have Ray in graveyard. So now it's just a hop, skip, and jump to lethal, trying to figure out like what I have to play around. Like if they have Called By, targeting like Aruha here would be like a worse play because they would stop it from ever making it to the board. But in this case, I get to summon from the deck for sure. So we go for Rakea, and like because our guys are shrunk, I can't like do a crash with them. So like the question becomes exactly how do you get the game? Now I'm gonna try not to trigger Rakea because Rakea is gonna lock me into 15s. can try and climb into like access code, and then just try and keep 2 of 3,000 monsters on the field. Like, because currently I have Kea, Sarama, and Shyama is 3 monsters that makes Anguish, and Anguish can make access code talker. But for some reason, I keep the Shyama on the board because I want to be able to destroy back row before I have to go to the battle phase, or before I get to the access code talker. And there are no Unchained monsters left in my deck. That was the second Aruha. Nothing in the deck to summon, so if I pop a card, it's going to come from my hand. So I figure I'll just summon Abomination. I'll add Abomination to my hand, and then when I pop Rakea to pop the back row, I will be able to trigger either Rakea to summon it from the hand, or itself to summon it from the hand. So if I activate Rakea and they try to summon it from the hand, they might have a reason to Ash that. Now, they've had plenty of opportunities to Ash so far, and they haven't done it, so odds are they aren't going to. So I trigger the Rakea, see if they have Ash. They choose not to Ash it, so I just assume they don't have it. And I have no reason to trigger it in my hand, so I just summon it. And at this point I have 2 3,000 monsters and Anguish by just going into Anguish and linking off their monster. So go for Access Code, target Anguish. Access Code is like one of those cards that, when I try to make the deck do more Infernoid / Unchained / Fiendsmith things more, Access Code and Anguish wind up being the cards that get cut, but every time I cut them, I run into a situation where I have to run over like a Chaos Angel by battle. Alright, so we are 3 and 2 currently. Win the dice roll again. 6 in a row on the dice rolls. Haven't won all the games, so winning the dice roll isn't everything. Can't always win the maxi minigame. So I've got 3 different options to start with. I opt for Bonfire into Poplar as my starter. For some reason, I don't know if that's the best starter. Oh, I go for Snake Eye Ash, because I guess I don't have a normal summon. And I figure if they droll me here, at least I can save it for next turn. Just hope I don't die. I guess theoretically the safest play was probably Abomination's Prison for Sharvara to ensure that I have a blocker, or for an Unchained monster, because I can pop the beast. So they imperm the Snake Eye Ash, preventing me from getting to Poplar, but I can still send it to the graveyard and bring it back off of Promethean Princess and use it to get access to Poplar that way, or Converge. The other problem with doing this play is I probably should have just tracked first at this point, so that a Bestial wouldn't be alive, because currently a Bestial is live. If they Bestial this, it just sucks. Don't really want to get Bestialed here. We just try to get the other Fiendsmith Engraver into play out of the deck. Currently in the graveyard there's Engraver and Flurry, so I have 2 Light Fiends to go into Aerial Eater. I'm not on Lacrima, because Lacrima has to be summoned with them, and a lot of opponents are just Bestialing the Light Fiends to try and prevent you from going into Desiree or Lacrima. I'm really just trying to use this as a way to dump like Sharvara so I gain access to Unchained cards. Probably should have did this first. At this point I wasn't getting drolled, but now they could like preemptively stop the sequence. And one of the things I can do is I can pop the sequence with the Sharvara to put in the graveyard, and shuffle it back with the Engraver, so I can like summon it again. But back to Requiem, so there's something to summon later. We have Aerial Eater, who's going to dump. These like always those awkward moments when you take Sharvara knowing you have access to Sharvara anyway. Sometimes you dump Sharvara and then add it back off Yama from these plays. I set Chamber. Often you want to end on like Escape. That way if you end on like Soul of Rage, you can pop the Rage and then use Yama to bring back the Rage and get both interruptions, whereas if you're going for Chamber in the back row in the end of the turn, it should be because you suspect you won't end on the Unchained cards, so you want a way to get back into them. You could use from the sequence, just like a random like Link 2 just sitting on my board. I'm trying to think what I do with it. I think I go for Yama here is just going to get me a monster, but what does my monster do? Like, I guess I should get... Often I wind up just fishing the same Sharvara's out, but I think here I probably should have grabbed a Unchained Abomination to have a card to like trigger if they try to break my board somehow. It's wound up just being like an awkward end board. I think I decide to put Beast in Grave, have an extra body here, and just go into Rage with the Yama to put the Yama in the graveyard. With no trap card, I just have like this pointless sequence on board. Like there's probably like a better sequence here. Like I probably could have ended on like Promethean Princess with like I probably could have put a Promethean Princess in the graveyard and then like use Shyama to put it in the graveyard. I don't know if I would have been able to get to Rage at the same time. So my opponent activates Angel Blue Tears, which I did not realize negates a card. I didn't read it that closely. I wasn't paying much attention. So they normal summon Saram, and I'm like, whatever, Caesar checked this. I didn't realize it was negated. So I go to negate it, which is technically not necessarily the wrong play. Like, one of the things is if your Caesar gets negated, it often has Exile material that you really want to get into play. You could have like your Shyama stuck under it. You might want to summon it next turn. So if you just use it to negate something, you can just put it back in the graveyard so it's playable. So they get Spirit, and then I realized, oh, I must have been negated. I wasn't paying attention. One of the other reasons I didn't like record myself while I was playing those. Semi-watching TV, semi-playing. Alright, so they're going to set Nightmare Pain, and I'm like, do I do Rage now? Yeah, I'll do Rage now. So, Rage the Spirit to link off and get rid of Nightmare Pain, although that leaves them with the material necessary to go into Phantom. I just don't want them to get Nightmare Pain to go off and just search anything they want. But I also don't really mind throwing 2 Caesar negates at Phantom. Like, Phantom will make me destroy something in their deck. It'll destroy, like, a Spirit of Yubel, and then when Spirit of Yubel tries to summon from deck, I get to Caesar that too. For some reason they start to scoop here. I guess they were doing worse than I realized. Anyways, here's our rank-up game. Going first again. 7 in a row. Crazy. In this hand, not good. I do have technically enough plays to go into a Yama. Get the Yama with no trap card doesn't really help me. I have to use my normal summon. I can get like 1 monster on play. I think I sent the Petrula thinking I'd keep my guy low level and then I go into Sightsmoss, and then like right after that I'm like, that's a mistake. I should have probably just sent Deviati and set up a monster negate. Now, considering what I'm up against, I think this is just the Azamina White Forest deck. I might have been just better off doing what I did with sending the Petrula. So they have Elzet, so I'm like, okay, if I just Ash the Elzet, I'm just going to be forced to tribute and negate or banish the, what do you call it, Toy Soldier. Like, what else am I going to Ash? I'm going to be forced to Ash anything really early anyway. I'm not actually sure where the right place to Ash is. If anyone else feels like they have an opinion on where the correct place to Ash this deck is, let me know, considering the cards that they have. I stopped Elzet. I'm stopping this. I didn't get called by on either card. Forget where they go from here. Okay, so they have Black Witch. So, effectively, a Black Witch means I was probably doomed no matter what. I think I wait a little too long before conceding in this game. Thinking of like the other options I had in my play. Then like in the Yama, what does it search? You can search Abomination, but Abomination doesn't really disrupt unless they destroy it. The Yama, and they're not going to destroy the Yama. I could have. Yeah, I really didn't have much to play. I wasn't just going to scoop. But you'd be surprised how often like 1 negate just stop your opponent. If you just make try to make some sort of board, so Decatron as the summon is often like good enough just to start. Alright, so we are back away from our rank up game, and we are 8 in a row in coin tosses, and our opponent is on their rank up game, so we'll see if we play spoiler. This hand is wild. Actually, every card I have here like loses to Droll, so I tend to. I can't start with Banishment. You start with Banishment, and the rest of your hand becomes useless. But the only scenario in which you start with Banishment is if you know you can still play if you get Ashed. So I go for Snake Eye. Again, I should probably just do the Fiendsmith track first, so I stop playing into Pistials. My opponent is on Tearlament, and like I could Ash that and just make my board. But I'm like, they won't hit well. It's not relevant. This Havness isn't going to do anything. And of course the Havness hits the Rhino Heart. Constantly chain blocking myself with their cards. So Poplar's going to summon, Poplar's going to trigger to search, and then Rhino Heart's going to trigger to Foolish. But it also sends a card to the graveyard, so that card's like chain blocking my Ash. So they send Sullick. So it's Poplar 1, Rhino Heart 2, Sullick 3. What's the Sullick going to get? Could get Tear Cash, or it could get Chiron, or another Rhino Heart for next turn. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Whatever card they add to hand can't be that bad. I'm like, Tier Cache is a real random mill. There's only one of it. If it misses, I'll be alright. They've already got the Havness on the field. Send the Shiren, so I'm like, okay, that's gonna trigger in a second. I've effectively got like full board, full combo. So if they put all their cards onto the board and I don't get floodgated by like a Fidal Winda, I should just be able to win by just clearing their cards. Even if they end on 5 cards in hand, if I'm popping all their cards on the board while we're going, and like maybe I can banish their Hit Close permanently. Hit Close seems like an excellent card for this Ash Blossom to hit, and that's what I use it on. I figure they just try and do something productive with their mills here, justifying throwing all their cards into play here. I think they hit alright off of this Tier Cache, actually. And all this might have just been stopped with the Ash Blossom. I just used it on the Havness. So they hit a Scream, which can get the Meta Noise or Crime, and they hit, what's it called? Trivi Karma? Not sure what they have left to search. Heartbeat, I guess. Maybe get Heartbeat. Heartbeat's an option, Grief is an option. They milled Wraith's Oath and Ash Blossom. So they're back to 5 cards in hand, and the question is, what do I do from here? Well, I'm like, technically I have like the full combo. I think I get in my head here, because something goofy does happen. As like a bad choice on my part. I'm like, well, these Decatrons are just going to keep sending Infernoids. I can keep popping things, like, but I only play like one Nick, and Harmonic can pop a card. Pop up itself in the back row here. Leaving the Poplar in the back row always means you have a way to get the Flamebird back in the back row. I don't always want to commit to using my Promethean Princess to bring back Flamebird specifically. I figure I'll pop Rhino Heart here since it's getting banished and leaves the field. I'm not going to try and pop Kit Close. I was thinking at some point it would make sense to find a way to get rid of the Tier Cache. I don't really want to go into like SP because it takes up the extra monster zone. So we send the Decatron to summon Oak to bring out Decatron again. Again, this would be useful if I had a Harmonic or an Antra to do something here. Yeah, just a low-level guy I can bring back, so Sights Moss is the only card I can really bring back here. Yep, we're all set to go into Evil. And I don't know if going into Evil even makes sense here, because I already have Banishment, so what am I searching? Do I search the Feast so that I can't get ashed? They already had like 1,000 opportunities to ash me, they're not ashing me. So I probably should go Aerial Eater and gain access to like Sharvara or Shyama. But I think I do go for Evil. I'm like, I'll get Imagination. I can get rid of my monster and all my extra deck monsters, and then they have Kit Close on the field. I can Fuse on turn 1, which I think I wind up doing, which is just silly because I just clear my deck of all the Infernoids, and then my Feast is like useless. Here, I don't know why I sent the Decatron. Like, I probably should have sent the Poplar. Like what's the Poplar doing in my back row? I don't know. They're going to Sequence, and the Sequence can summon either Evil or Aerial Eater. Depending on what you send, sometimes you can set it up to send... You can set up Sequence turn 1 to do Infernoid Evil. Not Infernoid Evil, Infernoid Tierra. If you dump, like, Noku and Deviati somehow. But I don't think I really want to do that versus Tier Limit, although they do have, outside of their deck already, the Kit Close, so they're not going to, like, dump the Kit Close in mill 5. They might dump, like, Aurora and draw one. I suggest turning on the Feast. And since Harmodic's in graveyard, I can mill 3. When you're milling like a small number of names, just like Ananoku, a Deviati, and the Sights monsters, like usually the mill, because you want the Sajet in the deck. You need the Anoku and Deviati for the summon of Tierra if that happens on the following turn. And I decide to get cute here. This is just a bad decision. Because my opponent's gone through a lot of good stuff. I just banish their cards and just like get rid of them all. This is no problem. Shouldn't be any problem here. This should be easy. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I can just have this Decatron tribute off this Promethean Princess. I'll summon Tierra and just remove all the negates from my deck from her Feast off of my Decatrons. I'm like, why did I do this? Like, oh, you have to banish this Engraver in this process. Did you know that Lacrima can summon from the banish zone? That's problematic. Shouldn't really, like, be doing this. I thought it was funny. Yes, sometimes you just do something because, you know, it would be funny. And now I'm like, what's the point of leaving anything in the deck at this point? I might as well just send them all. But then I'm like, do I really want to trigger this Tierra and just like let my opponent send things from the extra deck to the graveyard? There's like one Decatron left in my deck now. I probably should have left Petrula, so if I bring back the Decatron, at least it does something. But I'm like, I want to be able to bring back all these Infernoids with the Flame Burge when they go next time. This is just dumb. So now I get to do like full Unchained combo, and I have no Infernoids in my deck. They're all gone, except for one Decatron. I grabbed Shavara. If you have access to Shavara and Abomination's Prison, it always feels weird to do this, but the goal is to get one of the trap cards, either one, so that you can set the other one with Shavara. Then you have the option of which trap you want to keep with Sarama. Also, currently don't have a card in my hand to discard to get the Feast. I think I just committed that I already messed up, and the Feast is dead now, so what am I bothering for? I'm like, well, here's a way to get rid of this Kid Close. And I think this is a misplay. I believe I Anguish and link off with the Kid Close into Rage, so that Rage is still on the board for next turn, but I could Anguish and link off with the Tier Cache into SP, and then use SP to banish the Kid Close. And then I think there was something goofy about this. I just didn't really want to get locked into SP, so I went this other route, thinking the Tier Cache in the back row won't matter. I'll just put it in the back row. How can this possibly bite me in the bum? Well, there are some cards that can make this bite me. I think I just forgot I was going to get Caesar anyway. If I ended on Caesar SP, do I really need Rage? Or maybe I should have made Rage first to bring back off of the Yama in the graveyard. Clicking like crazy. We got Caesar Rage, we got Caesar Rage, Escape. Every Inferno in my deck is in the graveyard. Flame Burst to bring back 2 guys. So he activates Shiren. I'm like, I won't negate that, otherwise I'll have to negate it twice. They activate Heartbeat, and then Chain Droplet. Droplet can use, of course, from the back row, the Tier Cache. So they send 3 cards, so they have to negate 3. So I'm like, you know what? How about you negate 0 cards? I'm going to have this Escape pop the Rage, and I'm going to have it pop the Oak, so I'll only have 2 monsters. And since Droplet has to negate all 3, I'll just make it so it can't negate anything. I'm like, yeah, this will fix it. As long as he doesn't mill anything good off of this Shiren, that play of his was totally screwed up. He gave up talents. So the Shiren dumps the Medora from the hand, mills the Havness, it mills the Rhino Heart. This is all insane. These were the most crazy mills that possibly could have been. And this entire game would definitely have just been won if I just had, double Feast set up on the board. If I just didn't bother summoning Tiara for no reason. Sometimes you just shouldn't be cute with your plays. And then I have this princess here. Mudora's there to disrupt all of this. And there it goes. I targeted Lurie, thinking, you know what, if I get to have a chance to discard a card off of Abominable Unchained Soul, I can discard Lurie and then Lurie will come back. So now my Yama is doing nothing really, since what am I gonna do with it? I'm like, I'll summon back Decatron. Maybe there's one Noid left that I forgot about. No, there isn't one. I'm like, oh, I can destroy something off Yama. Not worth doing. I get to add back to Lurie. So currently, I just have 2 Caesar negates, and I think everything I do gets chain block going forward. Every single thing. Here's Kaleido Heart. This guy's definitely working very hard to get his rank up. He's playing correctly. I played poorly. So he's got Meta Noise and Tier Cache, so he gets to add back. And I'm running low on time, so they keep this stupid, what do you call it? Stupid Flamebird just keeps asking me to summon this Poplar. Right, so they shuffle back Caesar off of Kaleido, and now what do I have left? Princess got shuffled back. I just have Flameburst to summon 2 blockers, and I have Poplar to summon 2 blockers. I'm like, odds are I'm not dying this turn. If I don't die this turn, all the Infernos in the graveyard, I should be able to do something. And they mill Mudora off for this Tier Cache. Wowzers. How to throw a game. So now they get to do full Fiendsmith combo, and I'm like, it's no big deal. I banished the Engraver. What are they going to do with 1 Engraver? They can't be that broken. They already used Shiren, and they've already used Havness, so what is their Beatrice sending? Fairy Tale Snow? They're already doing a lot of stuff. Do they really need to do more stuff? Here's a play I'd never seen before, so this isn't usually a route they go, because I don't feel like I usually see this as a going second play. They are going to use Engraver to send their own Kaleido Heart, so that Kaleido Heart can just summon back and send something to graveyard. Hello again, Kaleido Heart. Welcome back. Pay attention to what that was. Okay, so Shiren hasn't been used yet, but what's left to fuse? I guess they can do Kid Close if they have already shuffled it back off of with Kaleido Heart. Yeah, I guess that's what happened. The only reason I'm still in this game is because for some reason I don't think I'm going to die. I don't think I'm going to get OTK'd here because there's only so many bodies. They didn't like send the Flame Burge away. Maybe they'll make SP and try to get rid of the Flame Burge on a more permanent basis, but not be able to attack directly. Here goes hit Velos mill 5, hit Destrudo on a board with a 6 on it and a 7. I'm like, well, they're using it on a 6, they're getting a 1, they're not going into Baron, so I'm like, this is, in the event they do find their way to Baron, I'm like, let me just put this on the board. I'm like, they have a 9 and a 1, technically. And they go into Deep Sea Prima Donna, which is not a card I'm very familiar with. I think it just summons a Rhino Heart from the deck. I think it's a tuner. It's not, so it's a level 7 water. And it sends the Havness, but that's already been used. That's how the Lido card got in here. I think they just got that part. And they go into, of all cards, Psychic End Punisher. Now, Psychic End Punisher, after using Destrudo, is pretty cool. Purposely reduce your life points by 4,000 to give your a 4,000 attack boost. That's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. Apparently, this Engraver has not brought itself back from the graveyard yet. Their turn's been longer than my first turn was, and they did some plays on my turn, and my turn's pretty long. Like doing body counts here, like what do I have? And I totally forgot that they have the out for the Flame Burge on the field. That Psychic End Punisher can just pay 1,000 life points, which gives it another big attack boost, so that it can just banish the Flame Burge, and then I won't get 2 floats, and now I'm just sitting on Poplar plus Decatron, which is not enough when the Yama got shuffled back, and the Promethean Princess got shuffled back. This game is effectively over. They go into Lacrima, which brings back the banished Engraver that I banished earlier in the previous turn. And now they get to the Fairy Tale Snow. So between Fairy Tale Snow, my guys are all really tiny. As long as they clear Flame Burge without destroying it, sending it to the graveyard, I am dead. I think I scoop in a second. I think I just scoops. I think I let them try to like end the game. Like maybe they'll screw up. And then that's that. That's basically it. I'm like, they're just attacking the game anyway. I'll just collect the rest of my dailies for the day. So, yep, we're right back where we started. And I would say at least one of those games is winnable. And that one. So they got their ring up. Alright, so we finally lost the dice roll. So let's see what we can do going second. And we did not open any hand traps. We did open Snake Eye Ash, the most powerful card in Yu-Gi-Oh! And, Engraver. Our opponent sets 4. Now, is this stun? Oh, 5. Set 5. Is it stun? Is it Labyrinth? One of the things I've been trying not to do lately is summon high-level monsters versus Labyrinth because of the simultaneous equation cannon. So I'm like, I'll summon the lowest level monster I can. So, against this particular deck, I think the right call is summoning my low-level monster first, even though I could just go Engraver and Detract and so on. The Inoku is like a brick in hand, but discarding Inoku isn't like the worst thing, because then it's fuel for an evil off of sequence. I am being mindful of the possibility that this is Lab, so I am trying not to summon the Engraver. I know it's going to be a high enough level where they might get to it. People who play this deck seem to have like a calculator out that gets to make sure that they don't screw up the math. So it's called the simultaneous equation because you do 2 equations. It's like 2x plus y equals the number of cards in hand, and x plus y has to equal the number of cards on the field or the level of the monster they target. It's pretty cool. I love math. Math's like my favorite thing. So, flurry into Requiem, and I'm like, do I bother to summon back from the graveyard and risk getting hit with the simultaneous equation? I'm like, you know what? I will risk it, but I will risk it without getting the sequence banished. So I'm like, I'll just do this first. We'll see what we can do with the cards that are here. I think I go for a sequence, and I'm like, what do I summon? The Aerial Leader can just put like Shyam in the graveyard, so that I could have something to pop. Use something to pop my Abomination's Prison. So it turns out it is Lab, and they are going to summon Lady Labyrinth in the Silver Castle, and then activate Big Vulcan. They could have done this in the other order, probably. I don't think it makes a huge difference. I guess this makes sure they don't lose to Ash, because you can't Ash while Lady's on field. So they randomly pop in my hand. Pick 1 Abomination's Prison, but I've got 2. So do I fuse? I think I elect to fuse because I haven't. Oh, they call me bears. Doesn't matter. But they seem to be out of plays, and I am not done yet. They have one more set card. I forget what it is. They set a big welcome for next turn. And they have big welcome engrave, big welcome for next turn. I couldn't fusion summon. I haven't used engraver yet. So at this point, I'm like, all right, I guess at this point, I'm going to have to play into the simultaneous equation. I would leave the Requiem in the graveyard so I can use it now to try and send Lady. My opponent does something in my favor just now. So Requiem is going to be equipped to Engraver, and then I can use Engraver to try and send Lady to graveyard. I put it in the Immersion column because, I don't know, maybe it'll make my opponent think I can't use it. Because it's the effect of Engraver, not the effect of Requiem. And then they activate Unending Nightmare, which is a card I love, but they activated it at a point that's a little too late, because the wording of Engraver says I don't have to send both cards, I have to try to send both cards, so they lost Lady anyway. But they did me a favor and triggered my Abomination, which has free discard fodder, because this Inoku has no real purpose here. And I'm like, well, I can't destroy the Lovely, since there's a set card, so we'll just pop the set card. Now Lovely can die. Now we just have to find a way to get the game here. I just have to not play into the Inferno column. What do I get? I have almost summoned. I activate Abomination's Prison, and they don't let me choose, they just concede. So we win the dice roll again, so in 10 games, we've won 9 dice rolls, so this is, of course, going to catch up to us later. Well, I have 2 normal summon options. Fairy Tale Snow is a set. Lurie is a summon. I figure I'll just summon Lurie. I get to find out right away that they have Pualos. Well, ultimate backup plan, Infernoid's Void Banishment. By playing it at 3, you're more likely to open it and have it as backup. I don't need to do the 1-card combos off of Snake Eye Ash, which is 3 of in a deck. So I just go for Void Feast. So we have Fairy Tale Snow and Grave, which doesn't do much because we have no cards in the graveyard, really. I have Trula to summon if I can resolve the Void Feast, and we have Dark Ruler if they break our board and don't kill us. Now, I often try to let my opponent play a card onto the field before I activate the Feast, partially because I just keep getting Pualos. So they activated Arius, so now that there's a card on the field, I try to use priority when they pass back to summon, so they can't Pualos here. And I'm not chaining to their trap card, but they have Maxi, I think. So trying to play around getting a draw to Pualos, they were able to successfully activate and resolve Maxi safely here. Also, I played into Talents by doing that. That is one of the problems with waiting for them to put a card on the board. One of the things I thought about Pualos making it a little more broken than other cards is that Pualos, you can't counterplay Pualos with Pualos if you play any cards, so you have to really literally choose to do nothing. So if I can let my opponent not Pualos me on their turn, it'd be in my best interest. So we're going to send the 2 negates, and I think the Sajet could be useful against the Arius, because instead of trying to come back when I try to respond to the Welcome, whatever set card this is. They set a card in Lab, what could it be? It could be Karma Cannon. If it were Karma Cannon, they could have activated it before I sent my cards, but because they didn't, it's probably not Karma Cannon. Could have been D-Barrier, could have been something else. I opted to play into Called By over Droplet, because I wasn't sure what they would go for. I go for Sajet to tribute the itself. Now, I still have on the field, I have Deviati. So Decatron is Deviati here, so a monster negate. So if they normal summon, and they activate, they negate. If they attack over, I am level locked, so if they attack over Lurie, I can just leave the Decatron. They can keep me under the level lock, but I do have Fairy Tale Snow if I really want to break the level lock. So they normal summon the called Ariana, and they attack over so they can activate monster effects next turn, which means they might have more Welcome Labyrinths or Big Welcome Labyrinth. So we got Rest, so we can force them to activate a monster effect. Now currently I don't really have a good way to do it. I banished Decatron for Decatron because I figured maybe I'll summon it back with the Snake Eye Oak in a minute. So I target the back row to try and force out their play, and they do have Simultaneous Equation Cannon in their deck, even though they didn't play it before. Wait, this is the different lab deck, right? Yeah, so I wasn't sure this effect would resolve, since usually these are only good against high-level deck monsters, and Trula's pretty low. I'm like, I don't know. Because I could spaz out and try and Fairy Tale Snow and reduce the card counts and make it really hard for them to have the necessary things to banish, but why? At this point, like, they remove the card with a monster with a trap effect, so they're going to trigger Ariana, and I've got triple attack thrust. What card to get? I could get Grass, or I can get a Surefire play. And I have been pulling in and out of the deck Bonfire, so the whole Snake Eye package, I've decided it's just good to have like a one-card searchable, like, for sure solid play. And at this point, I know I'm going for Snake Eye cards, so Oak can just bring back the Decatron. So I'll just Bonfire immediately with protection. So I go for Poplar for original for Oak, but they don't really give me the chance to do that. So we are currently at 6-4, and we are playing another rank-up game. Hopefully we can get out of this Diamond 5. So this is where all the... Everyone who's in Master 1 was in this rank a couple days before. I didn't start playing for the first 2 days. And then, let's see. Oh, my hand is atrocious. This hand going second, not bad. Double Imagination, pretty good. And, yep, that's a pretty good card to stop me from doing anything. Well, Duality is a card worth trying to negate. What else am I going to save this for? So I need to draw an Infernoid in order to use Petrula to pop the back row, and they go for Eaglin. So Eaglin just means that they don't have like a small bird, because you wouldn't start with Eaglin. But they don't really have... The only small bird that does anything really is Robina at this point. They just need to summon more. And the only thing I could have done differently here is I could have activated Banishment, Search the Feast, because I can use Feast under Deep Dimensional Fissure. I forgot I could, because I could send the spells to Graveyard. They have a set card. Like, what am I going to do, Maxi? I could summon a blocker. They haven't attacked, actually, with the Eaglin, which I'd say is an error. There's no reason for them to not attack. If I had Evenly, I was just going to go to the battle phase and Evenly them anyway. They, again, elected not to do anything. Here's Decatron. I can summon it. Doesn't send a guy to the Vantage Zone. Doesn't help me. I can fuse into Evil. Doesn't help me. Fusing into Evil gives me an 1100 guy. I figure I'm better off just banishing Decatron and trying to pop the D-Fissure. That way my Feast can actually summon, like, live Infernoids from the deck. But they have everybody's favorite, Harpy's Featherstorm, so... And since I did activate my effect, I can't attack with the Decatron. I should have at least tried. Maybe I'm wrong. Pretty sure I can't attack with it the turn I activate it. If you negate the activation, I can. I probably also shouldn't have gotten rid of the Maxi. Maybe normal summoning it and going into some sort of Link monster might have been worth having as an option. But I figure I want to keep the Petrula on the field. I probably should have dumped off a Imagination, because I'm not going to resolve 2 of them. And here, I should activate the Feast there just to summon 3 guys, just so that they're out of the deck before they possibly draw into Ash. Because they activate D-Fissure, and figure a wait a turn, but I probably should have done it still last turn, because what if I draw, like, the Hermitic, then I turn off my... So they allow me to pop the D-Fissure. Like, I should probably pop the... I have to do 2 pops, so I have 2 pops with these cards. I probably should still have... Firstly, I should have done this before they summoned off... I should have done this before they passed turn, in case the... Before the Pot of Extravagance resolved, so that they would have less chance to have Ash. I would have had Decatron that would have just been beat over by Eaglin. I might have had to be... I wouldn't have been able to make use of that normal summon Maxi. Petrula probably should have popped the set back row in the event it actually did anything. The second Petrula that would have come off the Feast would have popped the... One of the other 2, I could have normal summoned the Shyama to pop another one. And the second they use the bird, then I know the Eaglin's coming out and I wasn't going to do anything. So we are back chasing this rank up again. And we opened a pretty good hand, but it's going second. I think we lost a dice roll. We're finally losing some dice rolls. All evens out eventually. It can't just be unfair to you, it's got to be unfair to everyone. Just different points in time, it's going to feel differently. They're going to start off with this Red Eyes Meteor Dragon thingy, and they're going to set a bunch of cards. They set 3. I think the first thing they do is activate Max C. So there's a reason they set that card. Now, I make the wrong choice here, and I activate Grass. Why I activated Grass here? I don't know. I figured... I don't have a great explanation for this. The obvious answer here is you activate Rust, and then search Duster, and then Duster the back row, and then Grass. But I risk losing the Duster over just like a missequence of steps. Like I know what steps I was gonna do. Like, And then they activate Called By, which is another thing I would play it around by trying to do the play the other way. Now, it doesn't matter in the long run. And of all the things they can Called By, they hit Engraver, which is the one card I don't care about. I don't care about Engraver. I just need a Light Fiend to go into summon a guy from the deck. I don't need to summon Engraver back from the deck. The reason this deck plays the Fiendsmith engine is to facilitate evil. The Infernoid evil. Not really evil, just Infernoid evil. So we are going to thrust for Duster. A little late. Better late than never. Our opponent activates Judgment. So it didn't matter, because odds are if I thrusted for Duster and just activated Duster, they would get Judgment anyway. So in the long run, it wouldn't have made a difference. I might have changed what mills there were, but that's like unforeseeable. So I have 2 set trap cards and a Ruha. So Deviati pops the last trap card on their board and triggers all 3 of my cards to summon from the deck. I am under max C. My opponent does have 1 set card. They did pay 4,000 points. And I did mill Fairy Tale Snow also. And I believe their last set is Imperm. So Imperm would stop me from popping all 3 of my cards. I can attack over their card and then be playing with 1 card. And I'd have both Unchained Traps and Fairy Tale Snow. But I like to try and kill them now, which is probably the greedier choice, because, like, what 1 card can they draw that does anything? I get greedy. I'm like, I'll just banish Deviati off the field, play around the Imperm. I got plenty of spells to banish from my graveyard so that I can summon this Fairy Tale Snow. I'm going to trigger 3 summons from the deck. One of them is Abomination. Abomination, discard a card to pop the dragon. And then I came to the realization that just plays so hard into this Maxi draw into Bestials, and then they block, and then I just, like, don't kill them, and then they do something in the follow-up, because that was 2 special summons so far. They got 2 cards in hand. Here's 3, 4, and 5. This is a full hand for my opponent. They draw Bestial, and I don't kill them because of it. I messed up. And the only reason I activated the Snow here was to chain block an Ash on, like, the last of my cards. And apparently I have exactly 3 Unchains left. I should have paid attention to how many were still in the deck. Figure out what I was summoning. I just figured the math couldn't be that bad since I only have to do 4,000 damage. But the second I activated the Fairy Tale Snow, I realized that I'm just playing into this. I realized I was playing the Maxi and Bestials. Even if I didn't have Dark Monsters in the graveyard, they have one. So, yeah. Now, Oak, you can add back, but what am I doing it for? I can't run over a Bestial with the Oak, so at this point I'm like, I'll just try and see if I have game or not before I commit any more cards with any more plays, and it turns out they just did not have it. And we're back at 7-5, and we are back in the rank up game once again. Can we rank up? Diamond 4. This hand is not the best. I have the backup plan, but I don't really have, like, a starter plan. Like, summoning these cards doesn't really help me. Like, here's my thought process. I'm going to discard Travara, and if they ash me, I have Fiends, and I'm not locked into Infernoids. So they ash me, so I'm like, wow, I have Fiends. I'm not locked into Infernoids. The problem with this line of thinking, first of all, your opponent should always let the Vanishment go through. They should try and ash the Feast on the next turn, because then I lose the Vanishment. I also get locked into Infernoids right then and there. Now I'm, like, trying to make plays, which, whether or not they work is another story. I got a trap card here. I'm summoning from the deck, but I've already triggered the Shavara, so, like, I don't know what I'm going to get off of this. Like, what can I do? I have 1 Infernoid engraved. Like, what I was probably better off doing before was discarding one of the Patrulas to summon the other Patrula from that next turn. And then I could have summoned the Shavara from my hand, and then by popping the Patrula and then summon the Harmodic, and then I would have gotten the option to go into Yama with the trap on the field, so that when I go for a Ruha, there's actually something to do. Because currently, like, this didn't really do anything. So this is poorly played. Like, there was some logic to discarding the Shavara so that if I don't get locked, I can still do things, but I just didn't realize, like, the way I was getting into the cards wasn't going to work, where I wasn't going to get the bodies of the numbers. So the play was definitely discard Patrula when they ashed, then I summon the other Patrula, special the Shavara from hand over it, special the Harmodic from hand, and then do a proper Unchained combo. Because currently I have Engraver with I guess, Engraver for Patrula. I have a set card that's already been used, so, like, what am I going into here? I've already made Yama, so making another Yama doesn't do anything. I don't have an Unchained Soul, so I don't get to go into Rage. I can make Aerial Eater, and then summon back Oh, what do I shuffle back? So I'd like to shuffle back Shavara and Petrula. Like, I only have one Inferno, I'm not going to do anything with that. I'll leave the lights to have Requiem come back over and over again more often. The things I shuffle back for Aerial Ear pretty often are and Abomination, and Aruha plus Travara pretty often to go into the Aerial Eater. And here, what did I do? I think I just did something stupid. I didn't go into Yama. I went into... I think I realized the Yama wasn't going to do anything, and I went into the Moon of the Closed Heaven instead, getting Aruha. But this doesn't really do anything again. I already have the trap. So I'm like, maybe I can just put this on the board, and it can be like a fire for Promethean Princess. So I'll summon Requiem. I'll summon Engraver, put Requiem on the board, and then I can pop that. Forgetting I have never normal summoned this turn. So I'm doing a lot of goofy plays just to not normal summon this Aruha, because you just forget you didn't. I'm like, oh, I have the normal summon. Alright, so Aruha popped the Requiem. Aruha summoned to the field in attack position. I don't know why I bothered putting it in attack position. It's 15-15, it should probably be in defense. Pop Aruha with... We have a set trap card. It's the... I forgot which trap I actually set at this point. We'll see in a minute. So here comes Shavara, and the question, like, becomes, what do I do here? I can do Caesar and Rage, which is fine. It's probably the better play. The other option is I go into Promethean Princess, bring back Aruha, and then use Shyama to pop Promethean Princess, so I have Aruha, and go into Caesar. I think that's what I go for. So we have Promethean Princess, bring back Aruha, and the question becomes, like, what do I do here? Do I pop Princess? And, like, Princess doesn't do anything on my field. I can't get into Blood. I don't play Raging Phoenix. I don't have room to play Raging Phoenix in my extra deck. I don't really play any other options there. I'm taking Fiend Lock anyway by Aruha. So, like, I can't play, like, the Ambla Whale. So that's where we end. Opponent's got 5 cards. I believe they're on Raid Raptor. So I'm like, I'll just prevent them from getting going. Caesar pop, Caesar pop. And it's important to get your materials off of Caesar so you have them for follow-up. So Shyama, if you have a card to pop. Travara, if you need a card to pop. So setting Escape here is kind of weird, because that kind of commits me to not flipping over the Chamber. Because a Chamber, then you want to stay around for next turn. So I probably should just set another Chamber. It just feels like I could get both of them popped with their face down. Or I can just use the flip effect of Chamber and the pop effect of Chamber, which is probably better. So they dump Mimicry and use Mimicry to search a card. I forget what they get. I guess they went for Strangulanius, which is another card that summons this from the hand. I can't think of a reason to let them summon cards, so I just negate and hope for the best. I figured if they get another extender, Promethean Princess can do its thing. I'm just hopeful. Considering the hand I had and then I played it badly. It's not the worst case scenario. But it's time for another one of my favorite things. Surrender button into Promethean Princess. This is a glorious moment. Promethean Princess target Aruha plus Typhon and Scoop. And that's going to wrap up Diamond 5 to Diamond 4. I'll see y'all for Diamond 4 to Diamond 3. And I'm back following my run through Diamond 5 to Diamond 4. It took like 13 games, which was a little longer than I thought it would take. I didn't expect to lose as many of the games as I did. I won so many dice rolls. If you go first enough times, you probably wouldn't lose that much doing that. But you know, it is what it is. I definitely lost some games I should have won, and we'll continue doing this. I haven't made a video in like 3 months and just trying to get myself back into it. So I figure I'll start with something low stakes. I'll just play my deck and enjoy myself. Give someone something to watch if they're interested. And I might record my gameplay while I'm doing it, but to make the videos longer. So I might cut things down like this. You tell me what you prefer, and I'll see you guys next time.